Hello world, I've been investigating surround sound, particularly Dolby Atmos surround sound. Surround sound has been something that has been pretty much a no-no as far as I'm concerned, going right back to the days of the 90s when everybody was getting into DVDs as we were, and wanting to have Dolby digital setups and everything like that, and it's just a complete no-no. It's really impractical to have, particularly for someone like me. It's very expensive and it's impractical to have all of that speaker gubbins. You need bare minimum for 5.1 surround sound. You need two speakers facing you, two speakers behind you, and a subwoofer, as well as an amplifier that can handle all of those channels. And me being a flat earth Reagan nut, I just cannot bring myself to ever possess it would, well, to put it this way, it would have to be a really super special amp that would ever tempt me to move away from my illicit R at the moment, and so there is absolutely no way. And also, it's the finance and the cost of it all. You just can't do it. It just goes into the thousands to get a setup. And now that we're on Dolby Atmos, it's even more expensive because you need minimum 7 channels, and ideally you need speakers in your ceiling as well, which no, we ain't doing that, sorry, at all, but it's not happening. However, there is a way that you can actually hear surround sound, in particular Dolby Atmos, just with a pair of something like this. These are my Apple AirPods Pro first generation. If you want a pair of those, O2 are doing a pretty good chuck out deal, because obviously Apple have replaced those with the second generation AirPods now. I see no reason to upgrade mine. I can't afford to for a start, and also these are absolutely brilliant, and I'll tell you for why a bit later on. The thing that I don't like about Apple in general, I say Apple because that's who I've got the experience of, but Google and probably Samsung and others that do exactly the same thing, they don't necessarily make a very clear line between services that they offer or features that they offer that require specific hardware, and features that they offer that don't, that have been introduced in software, usually free, up-to-date software. Apple, for example, introduced Atmos for all Apple Music subscribers, of which I am, and it's been available for any device from 2018 onwards, for any Mac or iMac, for any set of headphones, not just these I keep getting their names wrong, these AirPod first gens, right, that I've got here. I'm going to show you in this video, it'll be later on, it'll be towards the end, how you can configure any set of headphones to hear Dolby Atmos. Right, the specific advantages of the AirPod first gens and the second gens that are out now as well is that they can take advantage of spatial audio in Apple's TV app as well. And so basically it tries to emulate 5.1 and 7.1 surround setups in movies and TV programs, essentially. So I know that Disney Plus, Netflix, and things in the TV app do. Okay, not sure about BritBox, might have to check them out. So with that, I'm going to tell you my story of woe about my headphones is not necessarily a story of woe. My issue with headphones is that I can't really get a pair that does every single thing that I want to do. So I've actually got 3 sets of headphones, right? The first one I've had ever since the days of the dinosaurs. When we're looking about 2008, I think I've got these. All right, these are a wired set of BeyerDynamic DT 440 headphones. They are absolutely knackered. You can see inside there that all the sponges and coils have come out. It doesn't seem to have made any difference to the sound quality. They still sound absolutely brilliant. They are my best sounding pair of headphones. They work on everything that I want to do, whether it's listen to music, whether it is to watch a film, although that film will be in stereo and not the Dolby digital variant. They will also, because they have a wire on them, they work perfectly well with Logic Pro and any other kind of audio editing software. The problem with wireless headphones, with any wireless headphone, is that there is an nth of a second delay. So when you've got somebody with a pair of headphones on and they're recording vocals, the music that is coming to them in the headphones is just a split second later than it actually really is. And so trying to get somebody to sing in absolute rhythm or play their instrument in absolute perfect time is nigh on impossible. Right? You need a pair of wired headphones still to work within Logic. Right? That I'm reliably informed. I think it's Marcus Brownlee. Might leave a link to his channel. He did a review of the AirPods Max, which are 550 quid, and in their wireless configuration they still have a latency gap. So he found essentially that he couldn't use those for proper audio editing, where timing is of absolute max, and even that of a difference, that tiniest of a split second, you might say he's being nitpicky. No, he isn't. It's my experience, and I know that because I've got a set of these, which I've also tried to use for recording. These are Bowers & Wilkins P7 headphones. You might recognise these. I had a set of woes with them. The first time I went to John Lewis to buy these, I bought a set of wireless headphones, got them home, and inside the box was a pair of wired headphones. And at the time, wired headphones weren't what I wanted. I don't want to be glued to my iMac all the time. It's the only thing in my life that's actually got a headphone socket on it. That's the big disadvantage of these BeyerDynamics, is this wire. All right. So these, can I just say, all right, the BeyerDynamics are the most revealing, that's these wired ones, are the most revealing headphone I have ever heard at their price point. Okay, I can't remember how much these cost. They were quite expensive, were the BeyerDynamics. All right, they were over £200, I think, at the time I got them. All right, I don't know how much they are now. You might be able to get whether or not they're still available. But those DT440s are very, very revealing. Now, people might say, well, they ain't got no bass. But that's only if you come from Southend, right? If you come from Southend, then, you want fluffy dice bass from your Ford Fiesta, whatever. Don't get a pair of these BeyerDynamics, but don't expect to get really revealing music. It's not just about having heavy bass, all right? These will tell you, so these, I'm going to pick them up again. Might make my life a little bit easier. But these BeyerDynamics here, they will tell you everything about the bass on a set of music. But because they're not overtly heavy, they're not overtly thumpy in the bass, they actually leave more room for a crisper treble and mid-range. and music just sounds so alive the way that it absolutely is. I listened to Drive by REM on this set of headphones while I was having a little muddle around with my Dolby Atmos things and what have you. And just one thing that stopped me on here was just, it was the only set of headphones where I listened. I thought, blimey, they are playing music. It just sounds beautiful. Really, really beautiful. And when you get to the end of Drive and those last couple of chords where they slow it down and the strings sound so delicate and it sounds like, oh God, they really meant it. Whatever it is that they're talking about in Drive, Michael Stipe really meant it. Peter Buck really meant those last few guitar chords. It's just a wonderful experience listening on these for their price. Okay, I am well aware that there are consumer headphones available now that cost 3, 4, 5 times as much as these that might give you more detail. BeyerDynamic themselves do better headphones than these, but for their price, around about the £200 price point, these are brilliant. They are, and as I say, they would be in any kind of situation my go-to set of headphones were it not for this blinking wire. Okay. These B&W P7s sound okay. If you put them on and you hadn't heard any other kind of headphone, you would listen to these and you would think, yeah, these sound brilliant as well. And they do. There's a certain richness about these, right? But there's also a certain level of discomfort. This thing here, I can never get it to sit on my head in a way that feels comfortable, that A, doesn't feel like it's going to fall off, and B, doesn't look stupid, and C, feels comfortable. These leathery things clamp just a little bit too far on the ear. They're not, everyone's going on about, these noise cancelling headphones. Those BeyerDynamics, by the way, are not noise cancelling. Neither are these. There is an up-to-date pair or a more up-to-date pair called the B&W PX7. These are just B&W P7s, all right? They're not specifically noise cancelling, although putting those on your ear does an awful lot to shield you from background noise. All right, and yeah, they sound good. All right, they do sound good. There's richness and texture there. They're a little more ploddy than my BeyerDynamics. They are certainly much heavier in the bass, and as such, they are not as revealing in the treble and mid-range. All right, so if I want to analyse a recording, for example, I'd be much more inclined to go for my BeyerDynamics. All right. Now, where do these first generation AirPod Pros come in then? Okay, these just sound okay. They are wonderfully comfortable, at least as comfortable as the BeyerDynamics. All right, they are tiny. They are wireless. I couldn't use them, therefore, for recording, but then again, neither could I use the B&W P7s for recording either. They're basically as light and as clear as they feel on your head, right? They don't go to all of the depths of analyticalness that the BeyerDynamics do. They don't give you the bass heft that the P7s do. And I know that I did a bit of a Mickey take of South End, but essentially, if you want to listen to the Atmos mix of Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, provided you have an Apple Music subscription, you can. And when you get to She's Leaving Home, you will never have heard anything like the weight of those cellos in a set of headphones as on those B&W P7s. Okay, it's good on here, on these. It's lovely and analytical and detailed on the BeyerDynamics, but on the but on the P7s, you know, it's just heft. It's heft, right? Whether or not that heft over time would become tiring, I don't know. I think basically because of the actual discomfort that I find with the P7s, I think that probably adds to it, or would add to any tiredness. Although the sound quality of them is certainly up there. All right, as I say, something that does everything apart from wireless absolutely brilliantly, cheaper than the P7s, about the same price as a set of these, or basically a couple of £100. The BeyerDynamics are wonderful, are absolutely wonderful. All right, so I'm going to leave that part of the video there. I'm going to now go over to my iPad, because there are some things I want to show you. And before I go, here comes another bit of a thingy at Apple. And that is that you need to get these settings sorted out. As you'll see, when I go into my iPad, I'm in my Bluetooth settings. I'm going to be using the control center. I'm going to be going into the Apple Music settings. And there ought to just be an app that at least allows you to set up a set of AirPods without having to go around everywhere into every single thing to do it. All right, just an AirPods app. Right then, folks, to set up Atmos with a set of wired or wireless headphones, then you need to be in settings first of all. Scroll down to music, which is there. All right, I was already there. All right, and you'll see Dolby Atmos. For wireless headphones, set them to automatic. That means that whenever there is an Atmos version of a song, it will play in Dolby Atmos. If it's just stereo, then it'll just play in ordinary stereo. If you don't want that at all, if you only want to listen to stereo, then switch it off. All right. If you set it to always on, you'll get a little warning there, but that means that provided your device has got a headphone socket, you'll be able to hear Atmos. You will need to go into Bluetooth if you're using a non-Apple set of headphones. So scroll up to Bluetooth. All right. Now, my AirPods are connected at the moment because I'm wearing them. My Bowers & Wilkins are not connected. That's my B&W P7s. Right? But it doesn't matter at the moment. They don't necessarily need to be connected. But look, device type here. You've got a choice here of things to use. Set it to headphone. All right? And then that way, that will make sure that Apple Music will deliver Dolby Atmos. Non-Apple headphones will not be able, I think, to play TV things such as films, whatnot, in surround. Right? You'll obviously get a stereo mix, but not the full blown surround thing. I think that's only with AirPods and Pros and whatnot. If you're on an iMac or a MacBook Pro, then the Atmos settings that are in settings on a iPad or iPhone are now within the app itself. So go into the app, Apple Music, then click on Music Preferences, and the second tab will have that menu in it. Now, I want to show you the Love Me Do test. With this, only this version of Love Me Do, the one that's on the Beatles 1 LP, right, it was remastered for Atmos in 2015, right, and Love Me Do, for some reason or another, the stereo version is the regular version that everybody heard, with Andy White on drums and Ringo on tambourine. However, the Atmos version uses a version that was pulled after about a week that only has Ringo on drums. It was released as a single for about a week. They didn't mean to release it, so they swapped it for the Andy White version. It doesn't have any tambourine on it, and that's the version that is on this Atmos version of 1. All right, so you'll know if your settings and you're set up properly, if your Love Me Do has no tambourine on it. Whilst you're in music, I've just pulled down the control center from the top right of the screen. Okay, and then popping in here, this gives me whether or not I want to turn noise cancellation on in the AirPods, right? And whether or not I want it on transparency. At the moment, I've got it on transparency because I'm talking, right? And whether or not you want the spatial audio. There are 2 modes of spatial audio. I've got it on fixed at the moment, which is probably best for music. For films, having head tracked is the better option, because that means you can turn your head and move your head around and it doesn't feel like the dialogue is moving from like one place to another. And that is really all I have to say about Dolby Atmos, except there's one other different but related thing. Like going back out of here and going back to settings in music, underneath Dolby Atmos, you'll see audio quality. All right. Now, for most mobile devices, that can be just set, the lossless audio can be turned off. Apple have decided to offer all subscribers lossless quality music files, which is absolutely great if you're using a wired device, or if, like me, you've got your CD DAC connected to the USB of your Mac, then that, works really well. All right, but other than that, turn that off, because Bluetooth for wireless devices does not transmit lossless files. So just turn that off. It's a bit of a shame. So where it says like mobile data streaming, it's saying high quality and telling you it's AAC 256 kbps. And then you've got, in this lossless audio jobby here, all right, you can choose Wi-Fi streaming, lossless, and high-res lossless, as you can see, up to 24192. All right, and the same with downloads. All right, except you don't want to do any of that on an iPad, because no one's ever got enough space for 24192 files on there. All right, and just turn the lossless off, because you won't hear lossless quality over any headphones, even the AirPod Pro Max jobbies. They just don't do it. So turn that off. Right, that's the end of this video. Please like, subscribe, share if you dare, consider a thanks if you've enjoyed listening, and I'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.